Alright, so welcome back to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, what we do is we cover that day's newspaper in a very short span of time within 20 minutes. So we'll be covering today's important news items. Whatever important was covered in today's newspapers, all the newspapers, we'll be covering in 20 minutes. I shouldn't emphasize on this, but I will, that this lecture series is very important only if you make it a part of your daily routine. If you make it a part of your daily routine, then you'll be able to revise your current affairs. If you have not read today's newspaper, you will be able to cover your current affairs, important news items. So make sure you make this lecture series a part of your daily routine. Now, today's newspaper was June 28th newspaper. Today is Friday. And what are today's topics? Okay, so let's take a look at today's topics, important topics that we shall cover. Now, today's topics were recently President of India gave an address addressing what are government's priorities and what are government's focus areas, right? This happens every year and it also happens after every election. Now, after president's address, a motion of thanks is passed. The president's speech is debated and voted upon. All right. So basically, in her address, President Draupadi Murmu outlined government's agenda. So we'll talk about motion of thanks. Now, recently, Indian government bonds, the government bonds of India, were included in JP Morgan index. This is very good news for India because this will bring in much required foreign investment in Indian government bonds. So we'll discuss about that. Then recently, the new Union Minister for MSME, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, said, Jitan Ram Manji ji, he said that MSME Act should be amended. We will make sure that we'll amend MSME Act 2006 because we want it to cater to modern requirements of our entire ecosystem, MSME ecosystem. And last but not the least, recently Bombay High Court upheld a notification given by a college in Maharashtra to ban hijab. So actually a college issued a dress code. In that they banned hijab and niqab. The case went to the court. Bombay High Court actually upheld that decision and they actually put a stamp on hijab ban. So why did Bombay High Court ban hijab in that particular college? We'll talk about that. Okay. So let's jump straight away to topic number one, which is motion of thanks. Now look, every year, first session of parliament, every year at in the first session of parliament, and after every election, when the new Lok Sabha comes, right? After every election and during the first session of every year, president actually addresses both houses of parliament. So president address. Now in that address, president actually outlines the entire agenda of the government. So president in her speech or in his speech, actually they outline government's agenda. Okay. Now, when the president gives her address, after that, in each house of parliament, a motion is passed known as motion of thanks. Basically, motion of thanks is actually a motion that allows discussion over president's address. Look, president is addressing, or president in her speech actually is mentioning the entire agenda of the government, what government plans to do, what not. So the entire house or both the houses of parliament actually debate on that, and then that motion of thanks is put to vote. All right. Now, recently, because 18th Lok Sabha has been newly constituted, so president address was overdue. So on 27 June, president gave her address, and now motion of thanks is going to be moved in both houses of parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So recently, President Draupadi Murmu gave her address to joint session of parliament. That means Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha were sitting together. In her address, President highlighted the robustness of Indian economy. President said that India is set to become the third largest economy of the world. It actually, President outlined major focus areas of the government, success of various welfare policies of the government, schemes and programs, and the rising profile of India on a global stage. So President highlighted all these things. Now, what is motion of thanks? Look, Article 87 of the Indian Constitution states that the President will address both houses of parliament at the beginning of first session after each general election and at the beginning of first session each year. After her address, motion of thanks is presented in each house of parliament. The motion allows discussion on the contents of president's speech, and in the end, it is put to vote in each house. Now, naturally, ruling party has more numbers. That's why when this motion of thanks is put to vote, it generally gets passed. Okay? All right. That's about it. You should know Article 87 and about motion of thanks. It's a parliamentary procedure. Okay. Now let's move on to next news item, which is Indian government bonds in JP Morgan index. Now look, various big agencies all around the world, they actually release their emerging market index. Okay, JP Morgan Chase is one, then Fitch is one, Standard and Poor is one. Okay, so they release their emerging market index. In that index, they actually give government bonds of various countries. Okay, and they allocate specific weights to those government bonds. Okay, so in that emerging market index, different countries government bonds are mentioned and weights are allocated. So for example, Chinese government bonds are allocated 20% weight, American government bonds are allocated 30% weight, and so on and so forth. Okay, if your government's bonds are included in these emerging market indices, then foreign investors are likely to invest in your country's government bonds. Now, Indian government bonds initially were not eligible to be a part of these indices. But recently, JP Morgan, a private bank, decided to include Indian government bonds in its index. Okay? The inclusion of Indian government bonds, IGBs, in JP Morgan emerging market bond indices will begin from Friday. This inclusion will spread over 10 months. So these bonds will be included within a span of 10 months. And when that happens, after 10 months, this will bring 20 to 25 billion dollars worth of foreign inflow, foreign money into our country. Okay. Now, JP Morgan took this decision after their 2023 governance review meeting. Now, the weight, India expects that its bonds would get maximum of 10% weight. That is a lot. A higher weightage is good because the higher the weightage of your bonds in these indices, the more money will come from foreign investors in your government bonds. All right. Now, which bonds are eligible? Which government bonds are eligible to be included in JP Morgan Emerging Market Index? So, only Indian government bonds designated under the fully accessible route are index eligible. Look, listen carefully. Government bonds are those things through which government borrows money. Okay, these are debt instruments. Now, up till few years back, only Indians were allowed to invest in government bonds. But recently, RBI has changed some rules and it has allowed foreigners or foreign entities to invest in government bonds. As soon as RBI did that, it made certain types of government bonds eligible for foreign investment or investment from foreign entities. Now, these bonds which are made eligible or these bonds which are made available for foreign entities are known as fully accessible bonds. Okay, so only fully accessible government bonds will be eligible for this index. As per JP Morgan, there are 23 types of Indian government bonds that are fully accessible to foreign entities, and their combined value is $330 billion. Now, some of that money will come from India and some of that money will come from foreign investors. Okay, these investments shall be directed into India's sovereign debt market. Look, foreign government bonds or bonds in particular are those instruments through which government raises debt. So investors who are investing in government bonds are actually lending money to the government. So it is basically a debt market. All right. Now, what will be the consequences of this? Well, India will stand to gain a lot due to this, because this will lead to higher inflows to India, which will help manage India's fiscal deficit, because this money will go to the government, because after all, these are government bonds. So it will manage India's fiscal deficit and current account deficit. Why? Because this money is coming from foreign entities. So foreign investments in India in sovereign debt sector will increase. Now, higher foreign investment or higher capital flows will increase India's forex reserve. It will allow rupee to appreciate. Okay. Plus, up till now, Indian government bonds or the investors in Indian government securities were Indians only, domestic entities only. But now foreign entities are eligible. So this will allow diversification of investor base in Indian government securities. So there will be a diversified set of investors, foreign, domestic, in Indian government securities. Plus, the more money that will come to India, the more money government of India will raise. There will be a lot of money supply in India, which will lower funding costs, and it will also help develop foreign domestic capital markets. The only disadvantage is that because of this move, inflow of money will increase, and when inflow of money increases, that leads to increase in money supply in India, right? And whenever there is increase in money supply, that automatically leads to inflation. So the only disadvantage of this move is that it might lead to inflation. But then RBI has the power to manage this increased inflation through its various monetary management tools. So RBI can reduce this increased inflation through through its various monetary management tools. All right, that's about it. Now let's move on to MSME Act 2006. Now, why was this in news? Because the newly appointed Union Minister for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Jitan Ram Manjhi ji, he's from Bihar. Okay, he has said that MSME Act needs to be amended, and we will work towards proposing amendments to MSME Act. Now, he cited certain reasons for that. He said that recently various MSMEs are finding it difficult to get adequate timely payments from government. Various MSMEs, MSME stands for micro, small and medium enterprises, actually opt for or bid for government projects. And when they bid for government projects, there are a lot of disputes regarding delayed payments. So their payments get delayed. And this is a very big issue. Because of that, various MSMEs have liquidity shortages. This is a very big issue because large enterprises can handle delayed payments, but small enterprises are unable to do that because they are already short of cash. Okay, so this is a very big issue, and for that there should be adequate mechanism to handle this problem. And for that, Jitan Ram Manjhi ji has said that we need to amend MSME Act. Plus, he has said that MSME Act was enacted in 2006. Now, the entire landscape of Indian economy has changed since this time. Okay, so MSME Act is at this very moment 18 years old, and the provisions in this act are also 18 years old. They are not well equipped. These provisions are not well equipped to handle problems of 2024. Hence, we need to amend this act to better address the evolving needs of MSME sector. Plus, additionally, Jitan Ram Manjhi ji has said that MSME ministry is looking to transform Samadhan portal. Now, what is Samadhan portal? All these delayed payment related issues are tracked on government Samadhan portal. They are tracked online. So various cases of delayed payments are tracked, are uploaded on Samadhan web portal, and they are tracked through that. Now, Jitan Ram Manjhi ji has said that we need to transform this Samadhan portal so that it becomes a comprehensive dispute resolution portal, that these issues are resolved on the Samadhan portal itself. All right. Now, what are major issues plaguing MSME sector? Well, for number one is the issue of delayed payments. Plus, there is this another recommendation that was given by an IAS officer who is posted as a secretary to Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. He says that National Board for MSME should have representations of all the secretary from all the states, because National Board for MSME needs to work closely with state governments. So there should be a provision that allows for membership of state government secretaries in National Board for MSMEs, because central government needs to work closely with state governments if they want to really help MSME sector. Plus, Jitan Ram Manjhi ji also said that there is a need to focus on micro enterprises in rural areas. This is also an issue within the MSME sector, that micro enterprises within rural areas are very important. We need to focus more on that because that will generate rural employment and solve the problem of unemployment. Plus, it will also improve the quality of life of rural India. Okay. Now, within this announcement that Jitan Ram Manjhi ji made, he made certain other announcements as well. Number one, Union Ministry announced another scheme called Trade Enablement and Marketing Initiative, TEAM scheme, which aims to onboard 5 lakh MSEs. MSE stands for Micro and Small Enterprises. Micro and small enterprises. So medium enterprises are not included in this. So around 5 lakh micro and small enterprises shall be onboarded to Open Network for Digital Commerce. This is government's e-commerce platform. So all these micro enterprises will now get the facility of e-commerce through this initiative, through this TEAM scheme. So remember this TEAM scheme. It is very important for prelims. This initiative, TEAM initiative, has an outlay of 277 crore rupees over the next 3 years, also seeks to assist MSEs with cataloging, account management, logistics, packaging, material design, and so on and so forth. All right. Plus, there is this another announcement that MSME Ministry made. They launched Yashaswini campaign to spread awareness for formalizing women-owned informal micro enterprises with a focus on Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. So in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, government is focusing on women empowerment, right? And how will government ensure women empowerment? By allowing women-owned enterprises, women-owned companies to flourish. Okay. So first step would be to formalize women-owned companies. Okay. This is what Yashaswini campaign is all about. All right. Now, Jitan Ram Manjhi ji also said that in future our ministry, the MSME ministry, shall focus on 6 pillars. These 6 pillars will be our focus area, or these 6 pillars would be our focus areas in the coming future. So our ministry will focus on these 6 areas. Number one, formalization and access to credit to MSME, because credit availability or money availability is an issue with the MSME sector, so that will be ensured. Increase access to market and e-commerce adoption. Team scheme is also a step in that direction, so that maximum micro, small and medium enterprises adopt e-commerce, because this would increase their market size. Increase productivity through modern technology. Large enterprises incorporate modern technology, but MSMEs, because of lack of capital, do not incorporate new advanced technologies. So that will be taken care of. Then skill development would be there, digitization, support to khadi, rural and coir industries, empowerment of women and artisans through enterprise creation. Now, empowerment of women, for that already Yashaswini campaign is launched. All right? Okay. And now let's move on to our last topic of the day, which is Bombay High Court hijab ban. Now, what was in the news? Bombay High Court on June 26 dismissed a plea by 9 students of Chembur NG Acharya DK Marathe College, challenging the institute's dress code banning hijabs. Now, this college actually released a dress code, and in that dress code, they banned niqab, full body covering of females in Islam, and hijab, head covering. Okay, so they banned niqab and hijab. Now, 9 students actually challenged this dress code, and they took their college to the Bombay High Court. Now, Bombay High Court actually supported the administration of the college. The Bombay High Court did not support these 9 students. They actually upheld the decision of this college on banning hijab. Now, what is this entire issue? Look, Bombay High Court said that a similar case was there in 2002 in front of Karnataka High Court. Okay, back in 2022, Karnataka High Court had a case in which hijab was being banned in the state of Karnataka, and Karnataka High Court actually upheld that ban. So Bombay High Court is relying on Karnataka High Court's judgment and saying that Karnataka High Court was right. We fully agree with Karnataka High Court, and therefore we are also allowing this ban. Now, if you want to know the entire case, you need to know what were the arguments presented by the students, these 9 students. What did they say? First of all, they said that this dress code was discriminatory against a certain section of society, a particular religion, and arbitrary. Plus, they say niqab and hijab are essential practices of Islam, essential religious practices of Islam as per Quran and Hadith. Okay? And essential religious practices are actually protected by Article 25 of our Constitution. Article 25, freedom of religion, actually protects, Article 25 actually gives you a fundamental right of freely professing and practicing your religion. But you can freely profess and practice only the essential religious practices. Now, they're saying that niqab and hijab are essential religious practices, and that is why banning them would be a violation of Article 25, which guarantees our freedom of religion. Okay? Plus, they say that they are also violating our Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A, which is freedom of speech and expression. They are violating our fundamental right of expression, because through your dress code, you express yourself. So they are violating our fundamental right. They are violating 2 fundamental rights. Okay? Plus, they also argued that the college is in violation of UGC, University Grants Commission's guidelines. Okay? UGC back in 2012 came out with certain set of guidelines called Promotion of Equity in Higher Educational Institution Regulations, which were meant to make these higher education institutions accessible to SCs, STs, OBCs, and minority communities. Basically, under these guidelines, UGC ensured that colleges do not discriminate against these communities, okay? And education is accessible to these communities. So these 9 students are saying that the college is in violation of this norm also, okay? Now, what is the college's argument? Well, the college says that the objective behind these rules was not to reveal students' religion. The college said that by wearing a niqab or a hijab, you are actually revealing your religion. Our guidelines were so that each and every student wears a very secular, they follow a very secular dress code. They follow a dress code through which their religion is not revealed. Okay? Plus, the college said that we are relying on 2022 judgment of Karnataka High Court, which stated that wearing hijab or niqab was not an essential religious practice, so we are not violating Article 25. The college also said that this was an internal matter. The college said that this is our internal matter, and we came out with this dress code to induce discipline in our college. Plus, the college said that these 9 students are alleging that our dress code is discriminatory, but this dress code is applicable to all students across all religious and community lines, so it is non-discriminatory. And Bombay High Court agreed with each and every argument presented by the college. Plus, Bombay High Court said that we are in full agreement with the arguments and judgment of Karnataka High Court. All right. So yeah, with that, I conclude today's lecture. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it is adding value to your preparation regularly. But the key word over here is regularly. So if you follow this lecture series regularly, you just spend around 20 minutes. I'm not saying it would be exact 20 minutes. 5 or 6 minutes up and down is like it's permissible. Okay. But if you follow this lecture series regularly, well, you'll stand to gain a lot out of it. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow with June 29th newspaper. Thank you.